Hello, and welcome to the Banner Saga 2. If you happen to watch my first playthrough of this game, the first part of it at least, then welcome back to the Banner Saga 2. So, this game is not really, it has 2 on it, but it's really not a second game in the series, but more like the second chapter. So, pretty similar to the other game that I'm playing on my channel right now, which is the Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. Second part of the game picks up right after the end of the first. So, why don't we get into it? Of course, I haven't played this game before, so I played the first part. And if you just are starting directly on the second game, you get to pick your hero. But since we played the first part, we're going to load up our previous save.
Tíminn líður áfram, eins og straumþung á sem fleytir okkur áfram. Time continues washing over us, moment after moment, like waves on a coast. Some more fierce, more violent than others. So few of my kind, the giant world, remain alive. Even so, I find myself wondering if humans, while able to bear children, suffer more for the loss of loved ones. Several weeks have passed since we slew the Sundren known as Bellower, but the chaos of the world did not wither as we hoped. The world is breaking. We sail aboard hastily crafted ships for the safety of Arberrain, the human capital. But the river curses us with a clear view of the dreads, assaulting another hopeless village.
The Dredge are real bullies. That hobo isn't gonna make it. Here, take this sharp stick. Don't worry, I'm here to save you. Stabbed with a pointy knife. The princess is here with her bodyguards. And hello. Welcome back to tutorial, Banner Saga 2 style. I know it does all of these tutorial thing where it introduces you to the initiative orders and stuff like that. I'm gonna skip all that because I assume if you're watching the Banner Saga 2, you probably have seen the Banner Saga 1, and if you haven't, I think you should do it now. It's teaching you how to move. Okay, we're gonna head over there. Yes, strength. Yes, strength is both a hit point and attack. Strength is also what you need to kill your enemies and earn experience points, the most important part of battle. If you're fighting somebody, and when you win, experience points don't pop out, I suggest you reload your last save. Okay. So I'm already seeing something that I like, because one of the things that sort of not bothered me, but I wish what the first game did better, is that all of the battlefields were completely open. There were no obstacles anywhere. So the only obstacles you could make was with your own units, which was fine, but it felt like you were sometimes pigeonholed into certain things. And now that I'm glad to see that there are actually palaces around here, which can be quite helpful. Of course he didn't move because he's lazy. Need us to save you. We'll do this. We'll do just that. Yeah, but seriously, if you haven't seen the first part or you haven't played the first Banner Saga, do it. I'm about to spoil the entire thing for you. Right here, right now. And if you play the first part, you will know a tradition that is in this game. The very first chapter, you always meet somebody with horrendously bad hair. Of course, this is no exception. I call his hairstyle the falling leaf. So anyway, we are, or by we I mean the protagonist in this game is Alette. She's here. She has a really nice hoodie. And her father, properly named Rook, the legendary Rook, was able to, let's say, heroically sacrifice himself to down one of the big bads in the first game, called the Bellower. Okay, he's a Skald, which is the, I believe, Nord term for a bard. You learned that from Dungeons and Dragons Rulebook 2.5. Yes. We got ourselves a publicist. That's the right word. How do I use English? I'll even make them rhyme given the time. That's pretty poor effort, Leo. Deep rumbling? No, just some rumbling. Am I mumbling? It's all tumbling. Down, 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 down. So whatever happened to that giant serpent that we saw? The serpent that had a lot of complaints. He wasn't very happy. Apparently, he felt like he had certain roles in the world and then somebody took away from him, so he feels really purposeless. Yeah, I forgot about that little detail. How the sun is actually not moving anymore. There's also this thing called darkness, which is creeping up from the north, but don't worry about that. It sounds like a friendly enough thing. It's the name of my last roommate. Maybe that's the reason I haven't had a roommate ever since. We indeed came from Borisgard. And you'll be happy to know that it is us that put the Sunder Bellower down. I don't know if this is going to be... It doesn't seem like... Well... I mean, I want to be humble and stuff because I'm in a hood. It just doesn't feel right if I'm, bragging about myself, even though we did kill the Bellower. Of course, by we, I mean my dead father, but Don't worry about the little details. It is your home, sure. But, you know, now that you probably should get out of here, since only thing left, the place that the dredge roam. I think I want to roleplay this a little bit differently. So, in the first game, Rook was always the guy who shot it straight and then had really cheesy lines. I'm gonna be very political. Gonna try to empathize with him. I really wish that I also brought along my table. Okay, fine. Go back to your home, pick your favorite kid, and then leave everybody else behind. Okay, so he understands. I kind of wonder if the Varl, or the giants in this world has any sort of sense for family, because you know the Varls aren't not born really; they're just created, so they don't have the traditional sense of you know, parents. So I wonder how they deal with this kind of thing that, you know, humans have to go through. Joke's on them. Right back at you. So, you know, again, Ivor's story is that he became very famous in the Warlian world because he once slew a Sunder, which is basically, you know, one of those giant Bellower dredge generals by himself. So when he came back, everybody's like, "You're the greatest, man." And Ivor's like, "You know, I actually killed a female Sunder while she was nursing, and she offered no resistance, but he didn't say anything because that's the Warlian way. They don't say anything. They just shut up and sulk. What happens when you get so old?" Can't make me talk about him. I can't hear you. Blah blah, I can't hear you. That's probably a bad idea. This is not a world where dreams come true. You know, Ivor, people could use your help. You don't have to remind me. Leaving me alone with my thoughts. My thoughts are, I wonder what's for dinner. Well, welcome again for the third time to the Banner Saga 2. I hope you enjoy the nice reflections in the water. the last reflection we're gonna get in this playthrough. So Yubin was the voice in the intro, and we played in his point of view in the first chapter. That makes sense, right? Yeah, in the first chapter, so in Banner Saga 1. And he's still around. He might be the oldest Varl in this point. I don't know how much he is older by, but, you know, don't bother with the details. More tutorial. Here you can buy supplies. You can also buy items with renown. Renown is basically the currency, the catch-all currency for this game. Everything you do uses renown, including, you know, leveling up your units, buying supplies, buying items. So the first game, this was one of the parts. I liked the first game quite a bit, but this was one of the parts which I didn't really like, because first of all, buying supplies or not buying supplies didn't really make a difference, because when you ran out of supplies, what happened was that you see here you have the clansman or fighter and Varl counts. So when you run out of supplies, then people start dying or running away, but that has almost no effect on the gameplay. So the one effect it does have is that, you know, there's a very sad face here. If you had supplies and everybody ate, then you tend to get a happier face, which means you start the battles with more willpower, kind of the mana system. But that rarely seems to matter, because usually I start with mostly full willpower anyway, and sometimes, you know, by the time I use most of them up, the battle's already been decided. So halfway through the game, I stopped buying supplies and just have everybody starve to death. That was fun. So the other problem is that if you wanted to actually be nice and buy supplies, then you lose renown, which you use to upgrade your units. So actually you hurt yourself in the long run, because you have, you know, lower leveled units, even though you tend to be a little bit happier. So that just wasn't a very good trade-off. This game, I don't know. I'm going to see if I can keep my supply up a little bit. I'll probably also test to see if there's any problems with it. But if it's the same way, I'll probably, you know, let my people starve again. Talk to some people. This is our childhood friend Ijo. He almost died many, many times. I later found out. He's talking to the prince. The prince is kind of a jerk, but he's nice. He's a very nice jerk. He also doesn't have much of a backbone. He's just like being very haunted by it. When somebody points their spear at him, he just like, you know what, I'm not gonna take that conflict. Why are you wearing that hoodie? I thought you're somebody else. Interesting. He wants to become the King's Guard. I think I forgot that little detail. Did he say that? He might have said that before. Don't worry about it, Ijo. I don't remember anything about you. I have the same problem. I get concerned every time I think about the future too. I'm still alive, right? So I guess you did an okay job. Yeah, That would be helpful to everybody. I don't need protecting, but I could use a friend. I thought he's our friend already. You do have more chance to keep your promise. Let's go with this. He obviously wants to be our, white knight, so there you go. We'll give him what he wants. That's what it's like to be a leader, right? Give people what they want. Actually, it's more like give people just a little bit less than what they want. But they can't keep coming back to you for more. This is explaining the morale system. If you're red-faced and drunk, then nobody's happy afterwards. A life lesson for you. Let's talk to Odd Life. Yeah, but do they know that? You're a leader. You know what that means? So this is kind of interesting scene because one of the things in the beginning of the first game was that, when Rook and Alette escaped from their hometown, she came along because she is the chieftain's wife. And of course, when the chieftain died, Rook took control. Not took control, but she gave control to Rook. And one of the things they were talking about is that she felt like because she's a woman that Rook is more fitted so that people have less questions or fewer questions. So now I think she'll be very happy to see that Alette has taken over that role fairly well. I don't really know what I'm doing. Okay, so that seems to be one of the changes that we're having. If you have more clansmen, then they can find food for themselves. And you can also, I guess, make some fighters. And I still don't know what that means. Basically, in the previous game, if you had fighters, you got easier battles, more or less. Which is not always a good thing, because you don't lose much from random battles. The only things that will hurt you is that if you, get somebody killed, quote, quote, in the battle, then they're out of commission. Not out of commission, but they're weakened for a few days. So if you have to fight a bunch of battles in a row, then that becomes a problem, but very interested to see how they handle it in the second version. But now he's a corpse. We gotta fend for ourselves. Shoot everybody! Yeah, so we don't live in a particularly wonderful world, in case you haven't noticed, even though the sun is always up. And the grass are green, the snows are pure and white. Everybody is super sad. And hopefully we'll be happier. Probably not in this game, since there's a third version. We'll find out about that. So we'll end the episode here and pick up with our conversation with this guy. Very friendly looking fellow in the next episode. Thanks for watching. See you next time.